Hello. How is everybody? Happy Monday. We'll give it a few minutes. Everything is alleged in our opinion only. So much to talk about. My goodness. There's been so many little things that have come out just in the last, 3 or 4 days. I'm like, my goodness, my brain has just been spinning. How is everybody? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. So I ended up taking a huge break this weekend and I disconnected from everything and did nothing. And it was much needed. I super recommend disconnecting for a day or two if you can, because man, I didn't realize how much I needed that. And I felt like a new person today. You've been busy, True Crime X? Hopefully you're doing fun stuff or doing some deep digging and you're coming up with the results we've all been waiting for. Who actually did this? Hi, Pumpkin. Hi, Carol. Carol, did you check your email? I had an Amazon mishap. When I went to send the gift cards, it was like, we suspect fraudulent activity. We have to verify your account and it could take 48 hours. I'm like, oh God. So hopefully everybody got their stuff except for Bianca. It won't let me send her cash money. So got to figure that one out still. But hello, everybody. Hi, Ro. Hello, 1114 Cat, True Crime X, Carol, Christina, Mandy, Liv, Pokey, Pumpkin. Hi, guys. Man, there's so much to talk about. Seriously, my brain has just been spinning. Good, Carol. I'm glad. Awesome. Hey, Fizzy. Hey, riding down the rabbit hole. All right. So I want to play this because I feel like I have so many things in my brain. I got a couple things situated to show you guys, but there's so much I want to talk about. And they're like little things in each different little category. So just in case anybody hasn't seen it, I do want to start with the fight that happened in Idaho recently, just within the past couple days, where it was the Phi Delta Theta frat that got in a fight. Apparently, there's been a lot of rumors. Apparently, as of right now, it is that it was one DoorDash driver and then one frat member that got in a fight. Apparently, the DoorDash driver threw the first punch. There's a post from apparently Austin Dawson. That's the kid's name. And then his dad posted that he's in a coma, which is absolutely horrendous. It said something about curb stomping, but I have seen the fight and it doesn't seem to look really like a curb stomp to me. It looks like he maybe hit his head on the way down when they were fighting, and then maybe one more hit after that. I am just going to play it, so trigger warning. But to me, it doesn't really look like that. The thing that sucks and is awful about it is obviously it's showing that the frats there are violent, and it's also showing that as long as you're in a frat, that the police are just going to ignore it and have no transparency. And that's what irritates me about it. It does kind of look like just your kind of guy on guy fight. And then this kid just ended up getting really, really hurt. I think he hit his head maybe more than once, and that's probably what did it. Either way, it's awful. But to me, it just shows that the police there, obviously, as we knew from before, suck. They're awful. They don't do anything about anything. And it makes me wonder, what are you guys occupying your time with if you're not, it's a smaller town, right? If you don't have the time to investigate this in a timely manner and do what you're supposed to do, then what are you doing? So trigger warning, I'm going to play the fight really quick just so everybody else can see it. I'm pulling it from Jules's channel. The guy in the white is the frat guy. He goes down behind this tree so you can't really see. It looks like he hits him maybe 1, 2, 3 more times maybe, and then walks away. But the kid is pretty much not moving. The thing that sucks is look at all these people. Look at all these people around that don't do anything. Nothing. One guy picks up a phone off the ground, and then people are like looking at him and then walk away. And that's how it is there, it seems like. If you're in a frat and something happens.
So what are they going to do? Are they just going to...
You shut your mouth. That's what it seems like to me. And that is awful. All those people around, somebody could have helped. Somebody could have broke it up, something. And then it seems like the police just do the same thing, which is nothing. It's awful. I feel really bad for the kid or the guy that, was the DoorDasher. It was said that he did throw the first punch. Regardless, that's ridiculous. All those people around and nothing is done. Yep, absolutely, Fizzy. Absolute cowards to just not do anything about it. Yep, exactly, Liv. Telling the public to stay out of it, telling all the frat members to put your social media accounts on private, don't say anything. It reminds me of another situation we know of, right? Where it's like the only case that I can really remember where it got that big and not one person came forward. Awful. And then let me remove this. I do want to go over just a few things in the body cam of Gunderson. We won't play the whole thing, but I just want to mention just a couple things that I noticed. Here we go. And we don't have to play the whole thing by any means at all. Excuse me, but a couple of specific things. Maybe.
Got 4 deceased. Yeah, 11, 22. There's.
So he's got no gloves on. None of these officers have booties on their feet. So, like, how would you know if you're stepping in red fluid and tracking it around? Which brings me to a point.
And then we have we got some footprints coming to from the back of the apartment.
I know you guys have seen this part. This is.
It looks like.
So ridiculous.
We won't fuck with those. Ryan's taping everything
Exactly.
off. Warner's starting a crime log.
Hear nothing,
And
say
that's where we're at
nothing,
so
do
far.
nothing. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Right here with you, bud.
Looks like they just go the snow track right.
Those ones?
Oh, absolutely, Fizzy.
This one was?
Absolutely.
Okay, no one touched it?
No one touched it.
And I feel like they could even, if they wanted to go that far, is charge the people around too for not doing a darn thing. How are you going to see somebody laying on the ground unconscious and just like walk by them, look at them, maybe pick up their phone? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they went through his pockets and stole his wallet. And like, and it's crazy because how many times have we heard nothing happens in Moscow, Idaho? And now we've got all these things happening in that area just in the past 3 years, 2.5 years. Hi, Christina. Yeah, it's frustrating to see that.
No one touched it. There's footprint there. I have one track that comes up this way, but I tried using the rocks to go back down.
Okay.
Oh, what time is this? 12:09? Interesting.
Oh, here.
I've started.
He's right up here. Hey, Ryan?
There's a bag back here, too.
Okay, make sure that includes it. And you got your cell phone?
Yeah, sure. Snap it.
Start taking some photos. Are you talking about this bag?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it looks old. I didn't get very close.
Yeah, let's just leave it be for now. Yeah, sure. Just be mindful of where you step.
I don't know if this is the part I'm looking for, but it looks like it might.
Yes, thank you. Tyson's on his way in. That's where we're at the moment.
This is Gunderson's. And I'm not going to play the whole thing, I promise. I just want to point out like 3 different things.
Make sure there's anything in there.
I can find the exact one I'm looking for. I'm sure you guys have seen all of this anyways.
Photograph that stuff if you don't mind. In case shit starts melting, and then we'll get better ones then too.
Exactly, Saltzilla. You were reading my mind. Stomping all over the crime scene.
She texted you?
Absolutely, Carly.
I told her to stage until
Look at
she
this.
heard
Look at what he's
otherwise. I told her
doing.
to call
Do you
her.
see this? Who does this at a crime scene? Guys, let's compare our shoe size. Look, his is smaller than mine. His is bigger than mine. Oh my. What are they doing? This is insane. I've never seen this. I wouldn't even know a person who would think to do this. Literally, let's put our foot right next to the impression in, like, they have got to be kidding. The thing is I don't even think these prints are like from an intruder. I think they might even be somewhat older, like maybe a couple, 2-3 days old. It's very possible they're not even from a perpetrator. But if they were, how absurd. Who would think to do this? I lost my mind when I saw this the first time. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. This is so strange. So strange. 1236 is where it's at. I was looking for that earlier. Thank you, Fizzy. Yeah, took Murphy all through I was going to comment on the Murphy situation too. So not only is he literally an inch with his foot from what they think is a perpetrator's footprint, comparing shoe size, like, oh my God. But if you guys notice, all of these officers in here, Murphy hasn't barked one time, not one time. So, you know, the whole time Murphy was barking from when he started to when he stopped, he was barking at a perpetrator. He was barking at a person in that house doing what they were doing. And he barked that entire time. So if we go with what Dylan says, he sounded like he was moving out, like distancing from the house, right? Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so then did Murphy maybe walk out with a perpetrator and was following one of them and barking until they got to their house? And then Murphy just kind of sat out there and barked at him until he kind of gave up, like a perpetrator walked there, right? But lives close in walking distance, obviously, to where, you know, Murphy just kind of chased him home basically and was barking, and then it found his way back. But I find it very interesting. All this commotion in the house and Murphy doesn't make a peep. But the night before, he was barking his head off for 45, 50 minutes. So, you know, I mean, that tells you right there that Murphy that night was barking at a perpetrator for sure. Like, no doubt. I know, I feel so bad for Murphy. Oh, that's a good thought too. I'm just saying, if the cops were involved, like rumor has it, they might be checking to make sure it's not one of their own, that their footprints don't match. I feel what you're saying. Yeah, I find that interesting as well. It kind of hurt my heart when they went out to the truck that Jack was in and they said, oh, I know you're like waiting for your dog. And Jack said, I don't care about the dog right now. I want to know what's happening. First of all, that kind of hurt my heart just knowing how much I love dogs. I could never bring myself to say, I don't care about my dog right now. I mean, I get where he's coming from, but it hurt my feelings for Murphy. But to then also have him sitting in the back of the truck, knowing he can't just pull the handle and get out, right? An officer has to open that door from the outside. So he's then sitting in the truck looking like a suspect. I'm sure everybody around thought, he looks like a suspect. Why do they have him sitting in the back? That's an interesting thought. Murphy was at Jack D's while the unalivings were going on. You know what could have happened too? And I don't know Murphy or his behavior, but it's just a thought because I do know dogs can be extremely intelligent. What if Murphy ran to Jack D's apartment and was barking to get his attention? Like knowing that's where I'm sure they walked back and forth probably a time or two or many, who knows? Yeah, it's wild that they treated Jack different than these other actual suspects. They did use the term that he's detained in the car. They absolutely did. And nobody ever said that. Nobody said he was detained. It's just like one officer just decides to tell everybody he's detained when he's not. Wild. Isn't that crazy, Witchy? I agree. It turns out of all of the witnesses, Jack DeCourt is the only one who doesn't even seem suspicious. He's the only one who seems to be like a little emotional, but like naturally emotional, not putting on a show like freaking Dylan. It irritates me. Snyder thought he was a suspect. What an idiot. These people are dumb. Hi, Bunny Murphy. Yes, like Lassie, what if Murphy was running to Jack's apartment and barking outside Jack's apartment? Because if you remember, his roommate Adam said that Murphy barking woke him up. Who knows? I mean, it's possible. Oh, I definitely think that they needed to put a story together or already had one together. I mean, look at all this ridiculous stuff on Bryan. I think it's so ridiculous. Absolutely. Everybody should have been separated and detained. I mean, I think in a sense it's good that Jack D was in the back of the car, but everyone else should have been as well, separately. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I would first think, so Fizzy says theoretically Jack D would be one of the first ones to be looked at. And I 100% agree. But it also should have been the people in the house, the guy that is in the house standing there with a knife, maybe, as well as Jack D. Yep, phones taken. Absolutely, Mandy. You think Jack D is sus? Bridget says Jack D is so sus to me. The 17-minute phone call with Kaylee that he never mentioned to the cops, and also blood in his apartment. So I do think I don't know if it was 14 minutes, 17 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know what it is. I did find it a little strange that Jack D did say he noticed he had missed calls from Kaylee and missed calls from Maddie, but he didn't mention the text message. And if you're seeing that you have missed calls, I would think you're looking at your call log, right? So wouldn't you mention there was a 17, 15, 14, whatever minute phone call? Wouldn't you mention that as well? Like, I see that I was on the phone with her or something, but I don't have any recollection of talking to her. I don't know. Maybe he thought in the moment that it would make him look really suspicious. So maybe that's why he didn't mention it. But I also find it strange that he didn't mention it. I don't know why he wouldn't have. Oh, interesting, Fizzy. Fizzy says, also, when you listen to Warner's, pay special attention to when he's talking to Hunter and he asks if there's anyone else in the house. And then Hunter asks the girls if there was. Interesting. I have a lot to say about some of Dylan's comments and some of Hunter's comments. I have a lot on my mind about that. Absolutely. And I've said this for a long time. So Saltzilla says surviving roommates definitely should have been considered suspects. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just the mere fact that it was 8 hours, but you admittedly said you saw somebody in your house at 4 a.m., even without looking at their phone records and knowing that you had all this phone activity that, I mean, looked like you were doing just fine and not scared at all. I would be questioning, why was there an 8, like at, what do you mean 4 a.m? It's noon. And I would have separated and questioned. I mean, I don't even, I see this now. I see this man comparing his footprints to a possible perpetrator's footprints. And it kind of makes sense that some of them must just be the stupidest, dumbest people on earth. Right? I promise you, there are days where I say, I thank God I do not have friends like Dylan. And I know that a lot of people think Bethany, oh, she was down on the first floor. Maybe she really doesn't know. No, she knew. She absolutely knew. The basement of the, writing down the rabbit hole says, did anything happen in the basement at the frat party? Has anyone seen the video? I haven't. Is it from this new fight or back in 2022? Absolutely, Bethany, is both of them garbage. Absolute garbage. I still to this day cannot believe that Dylan came to that courtroom and put on that same show that she was putting on out here in the middle of the street in front of those people while she's out partying. And I mean, because when she goes and sits in that interview room, what, a couple hours later, 2 hours later, maybe she's not putting on a show. She's not upset. She's not crying. I mean, she's talking normally, like, am I, like, thinking in her head, am I in trouble? I don't know if I'm in trouble, but I got a TV show to watch. I got to go get my nails done. That's what she sounds like to me. Yes, Pumpkin. So Pumpkin says, what's interesting to me is how Dylan, after saying that they are good at locking their doors, is not asking law enforcement how the intruders got in. She's saying, we probably forgot to lock it. Like she knows that somebody came in that way. See, there's a lot of little things like that if you just pay attention, you might have to listen to it once or twice, but you can catch them. And it starts to, like, you know, you have 1 and then you have 2 and now we've got 10 put together. It's like, okay, yeah, you definitely knew. Hello, Lucy. Hello. So I thought about that too. And it's been a while since I have put like a lot of thought into Murphy, but I would say maybe 2 months ago or so, I was really, really focused on Murphy for a long time. I'm pretty good with dog behavior. So I looked in, you know, I was constantly looking into the whole Murphy aspects and the time he would bark and things like that. So Whodunit says, who would secure or protect Murphy? Especially not knowing if Murphy would bark, bringing attention to the scene, or if Murphy would become aggressive during the massacre. Right. So basically, Whodunit is saying, like, somebody who was in there knew Murphy wouldn't bite them, Murphy wouldn't attack them, and also they were comfortable in that house with Murphy barking and bringing attention to that house. So I agree, in my opinion as well. Whoever was in that house, I do think it was more than one person, obviously, was comfortable being in that house. And if Murphy was barking and bringing attention to that house, they were comfortable because they've been in there plenty of times. So if somebody saw them there, they wouldn't care because they're comfortable in that house and they knew Murphy wasn't going to do anything. Anna P says, if Dylan was super nervous and shaking in her interview, I wouldn't believe her either. What she did at 4 a.m., it's really unexplainable. So, yes, I agree. I don't think at this point now, looking at Dylan, there's anything she could do to ever make me be like, yeah, she's probably right. Or yeah, she's probably telling the truth. She's very suspicious. But the more I just keep digging into it, the more I see Bethany's suspicious too. And I was going to talk about this later, in 30 minutes or whatever when I got to it, but I kind of do want to touch on it now because it gets me really riled up. When Hunter goes upstairs, he comes back out and apparently, some girls are coming up to meet him at the stairs or whatever. And he then says, call 911, get out, call 911. Well, since we hear that on the 911 call, why did they call 911? If they didn't know that anything had happened and Hunter had not yet checked the scene out for them, why are they calling 911? It doesn't make sense. They knew. And that's why they were like, shit, we got to just call 911. Let's just call them. Like, they already knew. And going on that route as well, we know they already knew now because in Hunter's statement, he says he had to push, like the door was open a little bit, but he had to actually push it open to see, which means Dylan's statement of, when I ran downstairs, I could see Xana on the floor. No, she didn't. No, she couldn't. She either knew what happened or she already went to look. That's it. And then that's why 911 was called before Hunter even went upstairs to check out the scene. They called 911 while Hunter was in the house. So if they're telling the truth, they would have need to wait for Hunter to tell them, no, shit, you need to call 911. Like something really happened in there. I don't believe it's strangers at all either. I truly think the unalivers were people that the victims knew. I don't believe it was strangers at all. And I totally agree with you, Bridget. People are so funny. Who has time to come on somebody's live and be rude? Like, get a life. I don't get it. Why do people do that? It doesn't bother me. It just doesn't make sense to me. But, yep. Dylan was tearless, no wet face, no tears, no runny nose from crying, no wiping her face. Absolutely. Now, here's my other thing. And I was going to go over Hunter's interview just because it's short. So I'm going to run over it real quick again. But I don't understand, right? I don't understand why, how in the world, whoops, how do I get that off? There we go. I don't understand how Hunter can be sitting in there and call Kylie. And the reason he didn't not know her name, you guys. How many times did Dylan stand outside with all of them sitting there and say her name to the officers, to Jack? She just kept repeating her story in her, anytime a cop would even come near her, she would get more vocal and more animated. And she was saying Kaylee's name over and over. And then I thought what I heard was Kaylee go upstairs and scream and yell. And then I think Kaylee came down really fast. She said her name 20 times. So yes, Witchy. Okay, good. I'm not the only one. It bothers me for the fact that Kaylee's facial injuries were much more than anybody else's, except for maybe Xana. We don't really know what she looked like. But we do know, because of Kaylee's parents saying it on different platforms, that, she had her teeth knocked out and all types of stuff. But her facial injuries were much more. And she fought, and apparently somebody fought back right with her. To me, calling a person by a different name when you definitely know their name, even if you didn't know it until that day or you couldn't remember it until that day, you sat outside in a circle with all those people listening to Dylan repeat the story over and over and over and say Kaylee's name over and over and over. To me, that is distancing. I don't know if it's distancing because he also knew who did it, which could be the case because Dylan or Bethany or whoever could have said something. Or if he's distancing because he went up those stairs and he saw, and he made a comment specifically saying, I didn't go upstairs. I didn't go up the stairs. I just to the second floor. The only room I saw was Xana's room. I didn't go up the stairs. People don't usually sit there and say the things they don't do. So I think that possibly he did go up those stairs. He did see. He saw her injuries were probably much worse. And that's why I think he is distancing himself from Kaylee specifically by calling her the wrong name to make it seem like he's just doesn't know her name, didn't ever see her that day, didn't know what she looked like, what her injuries were. I do think he went up those stairs. I think they all did. Oh, absolutely. I agree. I think they all saw. And it's hard for me now with the comment that the officer makes in this body cam where he says there's blood in the sink. Well, I don't think probably a perpetrator is standing over the sink if they're just a random person like they're trying to say. So either it was people they knew, so they knew, and they're not saying anything because they know and they're scared, obviously, that this person will then come for them or whatever. Or the red fluid got in the sink from them cleaning up. But either way, they knew. Either way, they knew. So Steven says, Kaylee was the main target. Dylan had to go to her family home to convince her to come that weekend. Dylan never was Kaylee's friend, never went to her family home before. And I do think it's a little strange now that we know. I do think it's a little strange now that we know that that wasn't even Kaylee's actual car. So her telling her parents, I'm going to go show off my car to my best friend seems a little bit strange now, right? Because from everything we see now, it was a loaner car. Now, I could see like if her car looked exactly like that one, same color, same everything, then you would just be like, well, technically it's not my car, but I have the exact same car, same color, same everything. Then okay. But I just think the whole thing is just strange now because that wasn't even her car. I mean, I would think so. Pamela says, so were her parents lying too? I mean, I feel like in a sense they would almost have to be lying. They would know that she got a loaner. So why wouldn't they just say that? Like she went to go show her best friend her new car, although this one was a loaner, hers looked just like it or something like that. Yeah, strange. I don't know. It was a loaner car. It was a loaner car. So apparently when she bought her car, the engine light came on the very next day and she took it in and they gave her a loaner. Now, if you notice the car that is sitting in outside the crime scene, it doesn't have like temp tags or anything on it. It says like price, whatever car lot on the actual tag. So it's a loaner for sure. And that's why the VIN numbers and stuff never matched to anything and nobody could figure it out. I don't know why they didn't just say that, because it would make it look a lot less suspicious, you know, especially if you're in the light and trying to explain things and, you know, people are digging at everything, not necessarily at them, but just trying to find the truth but they know that people are digging. So why would you just kind of lie? The temp tags are in the back window. I swear, Fizzy, you are on it. I swear. Because I have seen on literally every freaking channel is saying that wasn't her car. It was a loaner. Nice. Okay, good. Good. See, that's why I love you guys. You're like, girl, you're wrong. And you tell me when I'm wrong and I accept it. Just like that. Interesting. So I wonder why so many people are saying that it wasn't her car. Because I found that really strange. Honestly, I was like, well, if it's not her car, why would her parents say that she's going to show her new car? Interesting. Well, good. I'm glad that now I know it actually was her car and that wasn't a lie or even a fib or a cover up of any sort. I just really want the truth. So I really appreciate that, guys. Well, and and also I heard that Kaylee had not moved out yet, but her parents said that she had. Yeah, I know. I did think about that. I'm like, that is weird. That how would she get an identical loaner? But I guess it happens. Like, if you're going to give me a loaner, you better give me the exact same car that I just bought because I want to drive it. So, Candace says they need to explain how she got a brand new nice car without having a job that is verified and spoken of because everyone acts like she doesn't work or doesn't want to disclose her employer. I don't know why. So she did have a full-time job. She worked from home. The company she worked for is called Extreme Networks. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I've seen it on other channels that nobody really knows where she works. And I'm like, from my understanding, it's a company called Extreme Networks. They do IT and stuff. They have like all the things you need to like start your business, all the IT stuff that you need, things like that, or upgrade at your business, things like that. But it was an internship. It was paid. And I'm pretty sure she made like $21 or $22 an hour. If you take into account that if she was going back to live with her family or moving down there or whatever, maybe her rent was cheap. I don't know how somebody could afford a brand new Range Rover at $21 or $22 an hour. I sure couldn't because I have rent and electric and gas and internet and, phone, but all that stuff. I don't know, but maybe that was her time in life to figure it out. I mean, I think when we are younger, we all make a stupid financial decision. And maybe she thought $22 an hour was really good money, and could handle the payment. I don't know. Personally, I would think her parents would tell her that's not the greatest decision. It was used, and even with putting down $6,500 or $7,500, she still had quite a bit of a chunk of a payment left. So yeah, the Rover was a 2015, I think. I mean, maybe her payments weren't horrible. Maybe her grandma co-signed or she had great credit. Who knows? Maybe her payments were a lot less than what it might be for some of us. I have no idea. Whoops. Yeah. I mean, literally. Why do we have officers putting their footprint next to a dang perpetrator's footprints? Jesus. It's just, here's my thing, you guys. We are 3 years into this case. The case is now done. We have a person who has pled guilty, spending 4 life sentences plus 10 years in prison. Like, on their end, on the court's end, it's done, right? The only thing they're really looking into is this leak, but I honestly don't think they're really looking into it that well. I mean, how hard could it be to find the answer? But they're redacting grown adults that are agreeing to interviews. Why are they redacting their faces? Why are they redacting the words that are coming out of their mouth? They're redacting other people's names that they're talking about. When have you ever seen that? Ever? I mean, look at Jodi Arias's case. We saw the entire unblurred crime scene pictures when that case was over. Unblurred. Like, everything was out. And that was a super high profile case. Hi, Bryan. Hello. No. I'm not saying I feel like it's over. I agree with you riding down the rabbit hole. I don't think it's over at all until we have names and like super legit proof of who did it. Because obviously, in our opinion, I'm going to speak for all of us that are here, most of us that are here, most of us don't think Bryan Kohberger did this. I have a question because I was having a super brain fart. Oh, thank you, Bryan. Look at you. Thank you so much. One gifted. And don't forget, we will be doing the giveaway thing. I'll have different prizes each time, but we'll do it about every 30 days. So it didn't really go the way I wanted it to go, but we'll make it better next time. Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate you so much. Well, I mean, let's look at, well, let me take that off. Basically, in this, body worn camera that I have on the screen right now, I basically just wanted to show all the commotion that's in here, and Murphy's not barking at all. So we know the whole time he was barking the night before, he was absolutely barking at a perpetrator, doing something to the people that he loved. The other thing I wanted to show was this idiot putting a footprint next to the possible perpetrator's footprint. Idiot. And the other thing I wanted to say was the officer saying that there was red fluid in the sink. Now, I don't know one person who has no connection to the people, to the house, to anything, who's going to do this and then hang over the sink for what? Wash their hands off, maybe? I don't know. If Bryan Kohberger did it, he might have washed his hands up. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I would assume they would have gloves on and, stuff like that, obviously. So for there to be red fluid in the sink tells me it's not just a random person that came in there and did that and left, obviously. I mean, wouldn't Dylan notice somebody washing their hands in the sink or washing anything off in the sink? Why is there red fluid in the sink? Yeah. And you're right, Fizzy. Fizzy says it's red fluid outside too. Yes, he does say that, I'll go to it. He does say that is red fluid on the side of the house, which is interesting.
Yeah.
There's some blood leaking out.
He says there's blood leaking out.
I'm trying to find. Looks like there might be some blood in the sink, but
I mean, Murphy's not barking. He's not doing anything at all. We don't have to watch all this, but yeah, the officer specifically says that is red fluid dripping on the side of the house. So if that actually is red fluid, my goodness, because the crime scene cleanup people didn't clean it up. They didn't get it off. So I would think that would be a biohazard, wouldn't it? Even if it's outside. it's so hard for me to believe that that's red fluid. Like, how does that happen? The house had to be the most poorly constructed house. I just can't even understand how red fluid would seep to the outside. Like, that's just so hard for me to believe. Oh, you think Anne has finally caught? Lucy, you're on top of it, man. Do you know, Lucy? So Lucy says, pretty sure Anne has finally caught on to who is leaking information. Do you happen to know or have an idea who you think it is? Yeah, definitely cheap construction for sure. I don't know. I just think a lot of people thought that red fluid was actually from pipes or something, because, you know, they had the HVAC people there and the heat, which is a whole another thing. But so I'm going to play just a little bit of Hunter's interview. This is so wild.
So what's your first name? And what's your middle initial name?
Yeah, Hunter did like chuckle.
And what's a good phone number for you? And what's a good address for you?
Oh, I did hear that, Carly. So Carly says when the FBI intervened and threatened Steve G, it was because he was going to meet with Molly for information at a hotel, in my opinion. I also heard that. Now, didn't we see something come out about that in like emails from Steve G with officers or something? There was like an email exchange about it, right? And they basically told him, like, don't you effing dare. So, yeah, Fizzy says Molly's the worst secret keeper. No kidding. So, have you guys seen Mark B's newest stuff with like the car lights and times? And I found that a little interesting. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I found that a little bit interesting. Just because it proved that Molly wasn't alone, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. They're keeping me quiet. I'm the dasher. No, I'm the dasher from the murder case. Yeah, that one. The officer's like, what? Why didn't you tell me?
Okay. So you do not live at the house, right?
No.
Okay. So what do you got for me? What do you know?
It was like right around noon, maybe just before then, and called my girlfriend that she thought something was not right in her house, and she heard and saw a man.
Molly was not alone. Anna says, I don't think Molly was alone. She wasn't alone. And Mark B was doing times, like, you know, what time this car pulled in, and then their brake lights hit. You could see it on the window from the opposite side, in the house, directly across, things like that. And when Molly's car door shut, you could still see the brake lights on the car being pressed in. So it basically proved that Molly wasn't even driving her own car, that she was not alone. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
In their house last night, and she wanted us to come over to like make sure everything was okay, because they just locked themselves in their in, I think is what they said. And so
Very interesting you say that, Lucy. So Lucy says, if you've been around for the entirety of the case, take a step back, go over those wild theories that have been pushed away and you know, not pushed out there, and who is pushing these stories. It's really obvious who's involved. And it's really interesting you say that, because I was like, there's I was thinking this weekend, there's so many crazy theories and stories and stuff out there. And there's some that make you go like, oh no, that would never, like, that's so far out there. But now I've been wanting to go back and watch and listen, because some of those are like, that could make sense, especially the little bits of information we're getting now, like in Hunter's interview. He doesn't come out and say it, but he says stuff like, I checked the closet. Well, wouldn't you have to step over Xana and step in her red fluid? Because I thought it was just a big puddle around her and it was just everywhere. Well, to get to Xana's closet, you have to go across the entire room, over Xana, past Xana, to look in her closet. How did you not track red fluid anywhere then? How did he have not one drop of red fluid? And I don't want to hear anybody say it would have dried by then. Not that much. If it's still dripping down outside, could you imagine the puddle that's inside? That's a lot. I think, you know, some of the smaller drops and stuff obviously would start to coagulate and dry up a little bit, but big puddles, like big spots of it, no, it's not going to be dry. You're going to track it. And so I don't understand how Hunter didn't track it, but neither did any of the officers, which I don't understand at all. And then obviously the perpetrators didn't, unless it was obviously cleaned up. But, you know, I'm just going to say it now because I was going to get to this point later, but I'll say it now. Has anybody thought of, in the very beginning, when they said that there was a shooting at a party, has anybody thought that maybe there actually was, that they were shot and not sharp force injuried? Because the lack of blood at the scene fits more to me, and the patterns and stuff fit more to me with a shooting than sharp force. I mean, look at we've all seen the Charlie Kirk. I know that was a bullet, but it's in the same area that they're saying happened to several of these guys. And when that area is severed, it does come out like a waterfall. Like, it's a lot. So a lot of the patterns do look like pew-pew wounds and not sharp force wounds, especially Kaylee's pillow. Right. Yeah, Sherry. Exactly. Sherry says dead people don't shoot arterial bleeds. They don't. And we're not seeing that kind of patterns or that much red fluid either.
I was the first one to get over there.
I haven't
pretty
seen
quickly
the real
'cause I just wanted
Amityville
to make
scene.
sure, and I
I'm
got
gonna look
over
it up
there
after.
and I walked up the stairs, and I immediately.
Steve makes a good point. So Steve said, some people believe they died somewhere else and were brought home to stage the scene. And I never in my life believed that until I saw Kaylee's pillow. And I was like, that's not what we're being told it should look like. Like, what they're saying happened, the crime scene isn't matching at all. The lack of it would be, you guys, it would be everywhere. I mean, you would see huge cast off across the ceiling. I mean, it would literally just be everywhere, and it would be a lot. I showed you the puddles of red fluid from the girl on the train just a couple of weeks ago, and she was hit four times? Could you imagine over 50 or 30, but from 4 people? You guys, that's so much. We're not seeing that at all. There's no way that even Xana barefoot wouldn't be stepping and slipping in her own fluid. Like, you guys, it's just not, it's not enough. It's just not enough red fluid. Yeah. In one of the outside cameras, Carol says it sounds like a pew-pew is getting ready to be used. And in Pav's video, he actually refers to that guy as Gun Rat Guy, because that's exactly what it sounds like. So then we also know that Kaylee has the stripes, you know, and her teeth are knocked out from a blunt object, which to me, I already thought was the butt of a pew-pew. I never thought that the pew-pew was used as their, how they passed, but the lack of red fluid and some of the red fluid that we do see looks like it could fit with that. Oh, Bronx just threw up. Oh no. Liv says a K-bar is a large knife. This red fluid looks like they were stabbed with something the size of a letter opener or like a pencil or something. And, you know, like a pencil or a letter opener just hit the right spot, but not all the way in to get, you know, enough. So this is kind of graphic. So trigger warning. When you use sharp force on somebody, especially in the areas that it was used on them, basically your first one is free, meaning when you go in, like nothing's really happening, right? But as soon as you pull it out to go in again, you're getting cast off above you, behind you. When you go back in, you're getting it in front of you. I mean, it's slippery. It's going to be flying everywhere. And it's going to be a lot when you have 30 wounds. When you have 50 wounds, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't see it being a 7-inch K-bar. I don't know. It's just not what I would think it would be, especially now seeing Kaylee's pillow and some of the fluid that we do see. We hear the gun rack. We know her facial injuries from a blunt object. It's starting to fit a little bit more with a pew-pew. And so back to my original thought, and the comment was that some people thought they had been alive outside. I never gave that much thought. I was like, no way. Like from what we're being told, you know, the scene was this and that, and it was this much fluid and it was a lot and blah, blah, blah. But now I'm starting to think, like Lucy said, if you go back to the beginning and you kind of look at some of those theories that were pushed away and people were like, no, that's too out there. Some of them could kind of make sense and start to fit. Yeah, Steven says, are you all right, buddy? It's okay. Well, I guess he doesn't feel good. Poor guy. You okay? It's okay. He's a good boy. Yes, you're a very good boy. I know. It's okay, buddy. I got a mess to clean up. Steven says, Dylan never mentioned the guy she saw had any red fluid on him. Just black with mask. Yep. Well, and she has said it was 2 different masks. Remember? She said at one point, she said, I knew he was white because I could see the skin around the holes in the ski mask. Well, then somebody brought up the balaclava, where it's the mask that covers right here, like, you know, your nose is sticking out. And she said, yes. Well, that mask doesn't have holes in the eyes, so it can't be both. Like, I don't know. I feel like some of the things that they said she said is them putting it in their own words. I want to hear her interview, not the one we saw that was 3 minutes or 5 minutes, because that's not an interview. I want to see the interview before that one. No, it's okay. 1114 cat. A pew pew means just when you go to the shooting range, what you use there, it's a gun. We just can't really say it like that on here. So we say pew pew for gun instead of GUN, because they'll shut us down. Witchy says, on one of the MPD body cam footage, one of the first thing Dylan says is, we were all in the main room, and then she changes it later to they instead of we, saying they were in the main room. And yes, I heard that as well, Witchy. You are absolutely right. Oh my gosh. Well, so Steven says, I heard the victim's jugular were sliced. If that was the case, red fluid would have squirted out for about a second. It would come out until there's no more blood in the body. So as much blood is in the body would be on the ground. Oh, you call them Mac 9? So, hi, officially bubbly. Well, thank you. I hope you got your email. I was telling them earlier that it made me make sure that it wasn't fraud when I was trying to send them, so it was like a 24-hour thing. But I hope you got it. Anyways, that's a good question, Bridget. Bridget says, why don't they tell us what music Kaylee was playing and when did it turn off? When did it turn off? So if Kaylee was dancing, thank you, Brian. Excuse me. One more gifted. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Yes, Lucy says more than one person had this severed. If you saw the Charlie Kirk video, it's going to look similar to that until there's nothing left in the body, basically. So it's going to be that much. Well, and we already know that we've been lied to. Take, for instance, the rugs on the table, and then they came out and just said, they didn't show us any reports of any toxicologies, right? They just said, oh, no rugs were found in their system. Bullcrap. That's a lie. I knew then that we had to look at every single detail because we were lied to about everything. Interesting. I'm going to have to re-listen. You know, it's funny if you listen to the same thing like over and over and over and focus on each word, each time you re-listen, you'll catch like another thing and then another thing that doesn't add up, because you can't just sit there and tell lies and make it sound like the truth, right? You're going to slip. It's just natural, because you can't lie to your own brain, right? So you're going to naturally slip. Taratha says, Dylan also slipped when she was talking to Jack Decor outside that we ran back downstairs. In my heart, I believe Dylan was with Kaylee and Murphy in the main room. It's starting to look to me like it was a little bit more set up than just obviously one random person didn't just come in there. I obviously think it was more than one person, but I also don't think it was just more than one random person either. Yeah, and I think that Dylan and Bethany knew exactly. Again, I go straight back to, well, if Hunter hadn't told them what he saw when he was upstairs, how did they know to call 911 before he told them to call 911? Good point. Very good point, Fizzy. Fizzy says, I think Dylan was with Kaylee too, because she says Kaylee said she was going to bed. But who was she saying that to if nobody else was with her other than Dylan? That makes so much sense. I think it was a little bit more set up. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that Dylan and Bethany are the brightest tools in the shed, if you will. The brightest crayons in the box, the most frosted cookie on the platter. I really just don't think they are. I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world either, but I do think that they aren't that bright. And I do think in some of the things that they say, they tell on themselves. Just like Dylan says, I usually made sure the back door was locked. We're pretty good about locking our doors. But you just so happened to leave it unlocked, on purpose that night? And now that's the way everybody thinks that perpetrators came in? I don't know. I think that's a really good question, that if Kaylee was dancing with Murphy to music, where was the music coming from and when did it turn off? Here's what I think of. Oh, interesting. Fizzy says, I noticed that her GoFundMe has slowed down a lot. Only 2 donations in like 9 days, because you can see when people donated. Oh, that eventually it'll stop, right? And there'll be a different case, like the Charlie Kirk thing, or now the church stuff that's going on. And, this past weekend seemed to be a lot of stuff. And, people will find new stuff to donate to and be interested in, and that will definitely go away. And that'll eventually be it for her. So I hope she spent it wisely, and I hope she's getting the therapy that she really needs. Ugh. What was I going to say? Yeah, the one time she forgot to lock the door. Interesting. Dang, I was going to say something. I totally lost my train of thought. Me. Liv says, I wonder how they even managed to get accepted into a university. Well, when she said he could be a little bit more higher or lower instead of taller or shorter, like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, interesting. They did, the speaker in the kitchen. I feel like so Bryan says, I think lots of folks knew that darkness was coming to 1122. And I agree, because there were friends of theirs after the fact that had said, like, it just had an eerie feeling to it when you would go in there before that happened. I don't know why she does that I'm not the best picture taker in the world, but my goodness, to do that with your lips. I know she gets them injected. I do know that. So maybe she has a complex about her lips and she thinks that that's what works. Who knows? Oh yeah. As long as they have money, you can go there. I want to play a couple of the things that he says. I'm hoping it'll bring my last thought back to me.
They went into Xana's room, which was the only room I went into.
So right there, he just said, I went into Xana's room, which is the only room I went into. Nobody says the things they don't do, right? So you would only say that if you were trying to make him think that you didn't go in any other room when actually you did. And I think that's why he calls her Kylie, because he did go in there and he did see.
Went up the stairs, saw them. Were pretty uncontrollably crying and didn't know what was going on. Sure. And I told them to get out of the house and call the cops. And I went to the kitchen and grabbed a knife from the drawer because I didn't know if someone was still in the house or not. And
Who just said that? Steven, you just made me remember what I was going to say. Steven says, I see no books in the crime scene photos, which made me think of my last thought that I forgot about. Do you guys think, like, when all of this is going on, who still has their phone and like, what are they doing with their phones? Because I would think, I'm trying to picture myself being like Xana, right? And let's just go with the story that they're saying that Xana thinks she hears something and goes up partway up the 3rd floor stairs. She has nothing on her but her phone. We know or they say she's on her phone. So we think she's on her phone, right? If she's just picking up a DoorDash or whatever, which I'm going to be honest, at this point, I don't even know if any of that's true anymore. But let's say she has her phone in her hand because she's looking for her DoorDash or whatever. And one of the people or whatever start chasing her. What is she doing with her phone? Is she trying to block it? You know, because that's what I would kind of be doing at first. Like, what is going on? You know, trying to figure out what the heck is happening right now. I would be using the only thing in my hand to block myself or to try and use it as my own weapon. You know, why are all their phones right next to them? Somebody wouldn't throw it. The phone wouldn't get stabbed. Like, I'm trying to figure out how the phones end up where they end up. Because if you think about it, Kaylee would have had her phone on her if we go with Dylan's story where she was dancing with Murphy and then runs upstairs, runs back down, she would have her phone in her hand or her pocket. We know that Xana had to have her phone in her hand and not a pocket because she didn't even have pants on. So, like, that's the stuff I think about. Like, what are they doing with their phones in that moment? But it's little stuff like what Steven said. I didn't see any books at the crime scene. Like,
Grab the knife. It's probably still on the little table they have in the living room area.
yeah, Xana's hands were definitely
like in the middle, like
sliced.
Like where the kitchen level, that level.
There's like a little area there.
Yeah, there's an area, and I put the knife there after, but I grabbed the knife and I went into the room and I checked like the closet and everything to make sure there was no one in there, and it didn't seem like.
So he checked Xana's closet to make sure nobody was in there. Well, we saw where Xana's closet is, right? So he would have to step over her, around her. But we saw how close everything basically was. If he would have to step on that rug. And from my understanding, if she was on the rug, which that's what they're trying to say she was basically partly on, was the rug, that rug would have soaked up every ounce of red fluid from her body, and he would have tracked it everywhere.
Anyone was in there. And then
Yeah, I don't think he checked the closet. I just don't.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can.
Guys. Without a doubt, Dylan and Bethany knew and saw, and the red fluid being in the sink.
Okay.
Is more proof of that to me.
Shoot, I forgot my other guy's name. Sorry, this is just a lot. What's his name? That's his name.
Okay, I have to be honest and say, there have been times I'm an awkward laugher. I remember this one person passed away, and it was somebody I didn't really know, but somebody told me they passed away, and I knew them like in passing through high school or whatever. I was young. I was in high school when they told me, but I laughed, and then I felt bad for laughing, but I was like, why are you telling me this right now? Like, this is so awkward. It was just an awkward situation, and I started laughing. So I have done that. But if these were my friends that I had been hanging out with, and I just saw what I saw in the bedroom, I could not be laughing right now. And I am an awkward laugher. So I do think it's strange he chuckles right there because he can't remember somebody's name.
they all came into the house. They were coming up the stairs, and I told them, get out. They do not want to come in. They need to get out. And that's when you guys roughly showed up around the scene, was when I told them to get out.
Get out, okay.
And then one of the policemen came, and I showed him where I saw them, and he just said, stay where you're at. And I said, okay. And I didn't know if there were any more people upstairs. I didn't go up there.
Okay.
The cops came as soon as.
He says it twice.
What, did you go to the party last night?
No.
Okay.
I was talking with Ethan. I have a text from him most of the night. We were talking because he wanted me to come, and I didn't really want to walk all the way over there.
Does anybody know what Ethan was wearing? Did he just have socks on? I can't remember. And for some reason, I am thinking that all I remember is socks. That's what, honestly, that's what it's. If you didn't know anything about this case and you were listening to this for the first time and you told somebody, okay, listen to this guy. He just found his friends, one of his best friends, deceased of horrific wounds, right? And you play them this really short interview of him and he starts laughing. They would be like, what? No way. Like, that's got to be a script. It does sound like that. I mean, I agree. Thank you. On top, super sticker. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you so much. I appreciate you very, very much. So I think of, I mean, we've all seen Hunter's interview and I've talked about it over and over and over. I want to play the short clip of, 1 second. This might be loud. 1 second. Oh, who has it? Outcast is a good one. Sorry. There we go. Okay. He has this one. Dun, dun, dun.
Monday,
Okay.
total opposite. Didn't just work.
So, first, I want to look at his car just because I haven't checked it out yet. When I tell you I disconnected this weekend, you guys, I disconnected all the way disconnected. I didn't do anything online. Oh, I wanted to see his car. Where do they show his car? Because I don't think his car is like super spick and span, is it? I feel like I saw dirt on the back of it. Think of any single unaliving you've heard of where like a person breaks in a random house and does XYZ to people. A husband unalives his wife. A stepmother unalives her stepson. What are they usually doing for the next 24, 48, 72 hours? They're covering their tracks. They're cleaning. They're moving stuff. They're putting bags in their cars and driving it somewhere else, right? They're like going over their tracks. And they're thinking of everything they need to do to cover their tracks. And it's like mania. I mean, that's what I picture anyways, like mania. The next 2 days or so is complete mania in their heads, covering their tracks, making sure they took care of everything. This dude, a couple hours later, I mean, he's obviously got up early, took a shower, dressed himself up nicely, put the thought and time into his outfit, drove across town, went to the ATM. Now he's at Costco. Like, is that something that a person is doing just a couple hours after they unalive 4 people horrifically? He does look like he went to church. He really does look like he went to church. Or what I thought of when I first saw this was he's bored. He's in a new town by himself, alone. He has no friends. I'm going to go to places that normal people go and try and meet a friend, meet a girlfriend. I'm going to go to a coffee place or go to the grocery store, a library, like decent. Look at his car does not look like it was just cleaned at all to me. I think the back is dirty, like really dirty. Yeah, it's super dirty. You guys, wouldn't somebody who just unalived 4 people horrifically with red fluid freaking everywhere had to go get in his car, right? At some point, I don't care how many layers you had on, you're transferring DNA into your vehicle. There's no way around that at all. You would think he would be at a car place or somewhere. I mean, he didn't have a garage, so it's not like he could pull a car in a garage and clean it out for hours and nobody could see it. His neighbors would have said, I saw him cleaning the crap out of his car. When did he do that stuff? He didn't. He's driving around the next morning going to Costco in a dirty car. Nobody who just unalived 4 people horrifically that same day is going to do that. To me, he looks like he's bored and looks halfway decent, dressed up nice to find maybe a girlfriend or a friend or just something to do that is normal, the grocery store, whatever. But that is not a car that's been cleaned for sure. And that's the first thing you would probably think to do is detail the crap out of your car. You would even have to pull the handle and stuff. Like, you're going to transfer DNA. Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Where did he put his car keys? If it was him, wouldn't he have to put them in his pocket, even if he changed bloody clothes? Or if he just left them in the ignition? I mean, I don't care how many layers you have on. I don't care if you have gloves on. I don't care if you have booties on. There's nothing you could do to not transfer at least a tiny bit of DNA from that. Think of how much red fluid they're saying it was. I don't see it, but for somebody, that's a very intimate way to unalive somebody. It would be all over the person who did it or the people who did it. Absolutely. Especially with that weapon. It's dripping everywhere. You've got cast off. It's getting on their head. They might have a hood on. It's everywhere. I don't care what you do to prepare to not transfer red fluid into a vehicle. You're getting it on the brake pedal. You're getting it on the rear view mirror. You're getting it on the gear shift. You're getting it on the keys. You're getting it somewhere. It's just not possible. All right, guys. I think I talked about mostly everything I wanted to talk about. I did want to chit chat a little bit about Charlie Kirk, but I'm going to wait just because, I don't know. I feel like there's weird stuff going on. And Bronx just threw up like 20 minutes ago and I need to clean it up. So poor Boogie. So I'm going to get going. Yeah, Bronx was over here puking his brains out. Poor guy. All right, guys, I'm going to take off and get this cleaned up and then go to the PARK for a minute. So thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the super chats and Brian for doing the gifted. I appreciate all of you. How about we discuss Charlie we'll do it Wednesday. We'll talk about Charlie because I definitely have an opinion. It's probably not the greatest opinion, but I'm afraid that my opinion on the Charlie Kirk situation is going to make all of you guys hate me, and that's why I haven't really wanted to talk about it. I do think that Erica's actions are just a little bit strange, I guess, or just overacted, I think. I don't know what it is, but we can talk about it. We can talk about all that stuff. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Liv. Thanks, everybody. Fizzy and Carol and Pumpkin and Brian and writing down Anna P and everybody. Christina. I didn't see Bianca in here. I'll send her an email. All right, guys, I'm going to take off. Thank you for being here. I love you all very, very much. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind. But more importantly, be kind to your animals. Bye, guys.